Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into something, well, pretty fundamental. What happens to our energy after we leave the physical body?
Exactly. And we're focusing specifically on cremation, looking at it through a really unusual lens.
Yeah, our sources today are transcripts from a very detailed hypnotic investigation. It's a method that tries to access info beyond our normal reality.
Right. And the claims are quite specific, things like an energetic scanner and deliberate interference around how bodies are handled after death. It's
Ah,
potent stuff.
it really is. So our mission here isn't to say this is true or false, but to clearly unpack what this particular investigation reported. We want to walk you through the alleged mechanics of energy extraction.
And why, from this specific viewpoint, the choice between cremation and, say, burial might have energetic consequences we just don't think about.
And it's key to remember, like you said, we're staying inside the framework of this source material.
Yeah.
We're detailing the reality model it presents.
Percep-
Okay, let's unpack this. So when the investigation first looked into why cremation started, the reason that came up initially was, well, the obvious one, logistics.
Pure practicality, saving space, managing resources. You know, ashes take up way less room than a coffin and a whole burial plot. Makes sense on that level.
Totally. But according to this source, that practical reason sort of hides a secondary, maybe deeper intention, especially with how common it became.
That's the claim. And the core of it involves something described as an energetic scanner. The person under hypnosis described these literal lines of energy passing through the body during cremation.
Lines of energy, like a scan. But wait, if the consciousness, the essence, has already left the body, why scan it? What's left to find?
Good question. It's apparently designed to pull out, or aspirate, as the source put it, any tiny residual particle of energy still clinging to the physical form.
Aspirate, like vacuum it up.
Sort of, yeah. An energetic cleanup crew, basically. And the source claims this is done by entities they called control groups, or interferers.
Okay, hold on. Control groups. Interferers. That sounds ominous. Who are these groups supposed to be, according to this source?
They're described as non-physical beings operating here on Earth who apparently view humanity as, well, as their property.
Their property.
That's the claim. So their motive is described as purely proprietary. They don't want any bit of life force, even the tiniest residue, to go to waste. They're constantly trying to absorb the most minimal energetic particle.
So it's like a large-scale energy harvest system tied into how we dispose of bodies.
That's the picture painted by the source, yes. A systematic collection.
Okay, let's focus on those particles then. The source called them adhered particles of the essence. How are they different from the main essence that's already left?
Think of them as tiny fragments, little bits that get stuck to the physical body just because of the intensity of life, the connection. Even a really small particle of that life force is considered powerful, valuable, that holds the original signature.
And the interferers want these fragments. Right. You said for manipulation.
Primarily, yes. That's the claim. If an essence isn't fully complete, if parts of its energy are still stuck here or held by others, it's apparently easier to control or influence.
How so?
Well, the source suggested they use this absorbed energy partly as food, but also strategically. By holding on to these fragments, they might prevent the essence from fully gathering itself, making it easier to, say, manipulate it later, maybe offer the fragments back as bait to draw it into another cycle, another reincarnation. It extends their control.
Wow. That's efficient in a disturbing way. And the actual process of cremation, the intense heat, the destruction, does the source say that makes collection easier for them?
Yes, absolutely. The investigation described it vividly, saying the whole process acts like a really powerful aspirator or vacuum cleaner.
So the speed and finality are key.
Exactly. It makes those residual particles immediately available. The source even describes seeing these little blue light sparks being pulled from the ashes almost instantly after the cremation finished. It's designed for rapid capture, apparently.
What's fascinating here, then, is this underlying idea that nothing major happens on Earth, especially on a societal scale, without some kind of unseen purpose behind it.
That's the implication, that the widespread adoption of cremation isn't just cultural or practical, but serves these alleged energetic needs of the control groups.
It turns a simple choice about the body into, well, a massive energy policy from their perspective.
Precisely.
So, okay, if the body's being turned to ash and maybe these sparks are being collected, what about the consciousness, the actual essence? What's its experience during cremation? The source said it varies a lot.
Hugely variable, yes. It apparently depends heavily on the essence's state, when it died, its level of awareness, any existing contracts it might have, any interferences already affecting it. The possibilities are quite broad.
Can you give us the range? Like, what are the extremes?
Well, at one end, there's the really tragic possibility. The essence actually suffers the energetic projection of the burning. It's not physical pain as we know it, but like an intense projected energetic trauma tied to the body dissolving.
That sounds horrific.
Yeah.
What's the other end of the scale?
Complete freedom. The essence might just disconnect entirely, instantly, and move on to other planes by its own choice and power. No attachment, no suffering, just gone.
And didn't the source mention a third state? Like a neutral observer?
Yes, exactly. The essence might just watch the body burn almost clinically, seeing it as an external thing, something alien. No empathy, no pain, just detached observation.
So 3 very different potential experiences.
Right, and this brings up a really important question people ask. Does choosing cremation affect your karma or your next life?
Yeah, does it?
According to this source, no. The method of disposal itself doesn't change the karmic cycle or reincarnation patterns.
Really? So the physical act is secondary. What's the deciding factor then?
Only 2 things, apparently. Any pre-existing contracts the essence might have agreed to, often under manipulation.
Contracts, like agreements to return.
Yes, or to repeat certain patterns. That and the essence's own internal predisposition, its own will or tendency to continue a specific pattern. Those internal or prearranged factors are what determine the next cycle, not whether the body was burned or buried.
So even if the body burns, if the essence has a contract, it's coming back anyway.
That's the idea presented. The contract overrides the physical event.
What about rituals? Having a very sacred, intentional cremation versus just a standard mechanical process. Does that make an energetic difference?
Interestingly, the source claimed ritual formality is irrelevant.
Irrelevant, really?
Yeah. What matters, apparently, is the energetic state of the essence itself. Is it free? Is it sovereign? Or is it already manipulated? And who actually holds dominion over its energy field? If the essence is free, no ritual, however sacred or basic, changes that freedom. The energetic reality trumps the physical practice.
Okay, that really shifts the focus, which makes the alternative burial, leaving the bones intact, even more interesting then. It sounds like the body becomes a totally different kind of energetic thing if it's not cremated.
It does, yes. The source was clear. When bones remain, the energy adheres to the bone material itself very strongly. And crucially, unlike the quick grab with cremation, this residual energy supposedly cannot be easily extracted by these interferers.
Ah, so it's protected, in a way.
It seems so. Only the essence itself can apparently retrieve that energy later, maybe when it's doing a deep energetic cleanup, or, as the source put it, crossing a portal.
So burial preserves that energy for the essence.
Yeah.
But you also mentioned bones being used as batteries. That doesn't sound protective. It sounds like the opposite.
It is, yeah. It's the sinister flip side, operating on a much longer time scale. The investigation claimed that ancient bones, still holding this potent, adhered energy, are sometimes deliberately contained to act as strong, energetic points.
Contained where?
They mention large collections, often underground, specifically hinted at places beneath major historical cities, maybe starting with B, thinking of places like Rome, or perhaps near the Vatican, areas where lots of remains are gathered.
Okay. And what are these batteries charged with? This sounds incredibly dark.
Apparently, they're filled with the retained emotional energy connected to those bones. Intense fear, pain, anguish experienced by the essences when they were alive.
That's grim.
And here's the really weird part. The claim is these bones can recharge automatically, something to do with our inherent human genetics, the life force blueprint.
Recharge with trauma.
Effectively, yes. The emotional residue acts like an elixir. The source used the term energetic vampires who supposedly feed off this anguish. They visit, feed, let the bones recharge, then come back. Long-term, sustainable suffering.
So it seems like whether it's cremation's quick capture or burial's potential battery use, the body's energy is being leveraged somehow, according to this source.
That's the picture, yes. Different methods, different timescales, but leveraged nonetheless.
Let's circle back to cremation for a moment. You mentioned the collective fear of fire. The source connected the widespread use of cremation to something called an egregore. Can you explain that for us? What's an egregore?
Sure, an egregore is basically a collective thought form. Imagine a pool of shared energy created by the focused thoughts and especially emotions of a large group. It can become almost autonomous.
Right.
In this context, the egregore is supposedly generated and fed by the deep-seated collective human fear of fire, of being burned alive, even the fear associated with burning after death.
In connecting this to the bigger picture you mentioned, the goal of manipulating this trauma, feeding this fear egregore, is about reinforcing those contracts, keeping people stuck.
That seems to be the claim. By constantly feeding that specific fear, the interferers supposedly maintain a lower vibrational frequency around death and transition. This collective trauma makes it easier to keep essences hooked, subjected to that lower frequency, making them more likely to accept returning, to renew contracts, basically keeping the whole reincarnation cycle going on terms favorable to the controllers.
It's systemic control through managing collective fear.
That's the framework presented.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Moving away from death itself, there's a key takeaway here that brings this right into our listeners' daily life. This idea of residual energy isn't just in bodies after death. It's in objects we interact with constantly.
Yes, and this is probably the most directly applicable part of the whole investigation, I think. The source material is very clear. All objects we touch absorb our energy. Your clothes, jewelry, furniture, gifts you get, secondhand stuff, even things like hotel bedding. They all carry an energetic imprint. Our signature sticks.
That's a really powerful thought. Everything carries history. And the source singled out one item as being particularly loaded, energetically speaking: money.
Money was described as like a massive energetic contaminant constantly circulating. It's so highly charged because it holds the residue of everyone who's touched it, their fear, greed, obsession, stress, anxiety about survival.
All tangled up in those notes and coins.
Exactly. Every transaction, every worry about bills, every bit of desperation or avarice leaves a mark.
So if you're just taking money or receiving objects without thinking about this, are you essentially absorbing all that baggage, that history?
According to this model, absolutely, yes. You're potentially taking on energetic clutter, maybe even trauma that isn't yours. The source really emphasized that the most vital energetic hygiene you can practice daily involves the objects, and especially the money, that come into your personal space.
Which brings up the obvious next question: how do you deal with it? The source mentioned cleansing this energy, right? Described it metaphorically as washing it with my energy's water. What did they suggest, practically?
It's about conscious intention. It's not really a physical ritual, more an act of energetic sovereignty. When you handle money or bring a new object home, you consciously pause. You assert your energy signature over it.
Like visualize.
Yeah, you visualize your own clean, pure energy, neutralizing or washing away any chaotic or unwanted energy already in the item. You're essentially claiming it, wiping the slate clean so it aligns only with your energy and intent. It makes handling change at the till suddenly seem quite significant.
It reframes everyday interactions as constant energetic choices. You have to actively manage your energetic space.
That's the core idea. The goal is to keep your energy field clear, make sure your energy stays yours, and avoid absorbing external contamination. And also, not leaving your own stressed energy all over things you pass on.
Before we wrap up, there was that anecdote about the essence called Antonio.
Yeah.
It really highlights this idea of energetic completion and freedom. Can you share what happened with that?
Right, Antonio. According to the source, he decided to undertake this massive energetic cleanup. He consciously went about gathering all his scattered energy fragments from across, I think it was 2,258 lifetimes.
Wow, that's a lot of lifetimes.
It is. But once he felt he'd retrieved every last particle, every fragment, he was finally complete and totally free from any contracts binding him to Earth or the cycle.
And what did he choose to do then?
He decided to go on vacation, just travel the universe. He consciously chose not to come back here. It's presented as the ultimate outcome of achieving energetic sovereignty through meticulous cleanup.
That's quite a story of liberation. But we absolutely have to include the context the investigation itself provided, especially given how out there these claims are.
Critically important context, yes. The source material itself stresses that any single hypnotic investigation session like this is considered, even by the practitioners, potentially highly contaminated.
Contaminated how?
By the operator's own beliefs, their consciousness level, maybe even by entities pretending to be the subject being contacted. It's a known variable in that kind of work.
So you can't just take one session as gospel.
Definitely not. Real research in that field, according to the source, requires comparing hundreds, even thousands of sessions to find the common threads, the recurring patterns. Those are the gold nuggets that might indicate something more reliable.
Which means, for you listening, everything we've talked about today, the scanners, the interferers, the batteries, the energy and money, needs to be seen not as proven fact, but as a fascinating exploration within one specific, very unusual research methodology. We're sharing the claims, not validating them.
Exactly. It lets us engage with the ideas as a thought experiment, maybe, without needing to fully buy in.
It has certainly been a unique deep dive into what the source calls the hidden energetic life cycle of the body. So just to recap the main points for everyone, we looked at that tension between cremation's practicality and the alleged energy extraction.
The aspirator function, and
Wow.
contrasted that with burial, where bones might preserve energy for the essence, but could also potentially be used as these long-term batteries of emotional energy.
And then we brought it right down to earth with the idea of managing your personal energy imprint daily, especially with objects and money coming into your life.
Yeah, and the core theme running through it all, from the source's perspective, is this constant struggle between the essence's potential for freedom and consciousness and the alleged manipulations by interferers trying to keep vibrations low and contracts active, keeping the cycle going.
Thank you for joining us on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, particularly expansive deep dive.
And maybe here's a final thought for you to take away, something to mull over right now. Think about what you're touching today. Is it money? An old piece of jewelry? A secondhand book? Could it still hold the unconscious energy residue of someone else? And what might it feel like, or what might change, if you consciously decided to cleanse it, to make its energy purely, undeniably your own?